Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot with a general reading for Sunday, the 18th of May, 2025. As usual, I've already done quite a bit of shuffling before I started my video. And I am going to continue the streak that I'm on of using oracle cards or other kinds of cards to create my tarot reading spread for the day. I might do this for a week or so. I'm enjoying exploring this with different decks. So today I'm using the ParisianSibyl deck, and I am using the tarot deck Les Metamorphoses du Jour, the work of JJ Grandville. I just thought these illustration styles go very well together because they're from the same time period. So I'll do a couple more shuffles on this deck. So again, I'm shuffling and picking a certain number of oracle cards. I'm not sure whether it'll be 4 or 5. I'm going to see what I can fit in today. And then the only thing I do is I structure the oracle cards by their meanings. So first with this deck, I will have to look up their meanings because I don't know this ParisianSibyl deck very well. And then I'll go from there, picking the tarot cards. So as I said, I've already shuffled this, so I will cut this. And I liked the color of this scarf with these cards, but it's really slippy, so I may regret that choice. We'll see. So I do reversals with these cards. So I'm first just gonna see how many I can lay out here and keep them in the frame. 1, 2, 5. Okay. And as I said, I do reversals with this ParisianSibyl deck because it does have reversals. So the soldier is number 14. Now, again, the meanings of these are not intended to be part of the reading. The meanings of these are just formulate our questions. So the soldier reversed is inflexibility, authority, rigidity, and impatience. The meaning of the sincere friend is loyalty, reliability, wise words, generosity. The meaning of reverie, reversed, is fantasy, illusion, nostalgia, melancholy. The meaning of 30, waiting, is patience, passiveness, stagnation, or a well-needed break. So it's both sides of that. And then delay, number 52, reversed, is closing in, acceleration, arriving on time, catching up. So this has a very positive meaning. So I'm going to use these here, and I think I'll straight that order. I try to make them kind of from a problem to more positive solutions, and that way the flow of the spread has more positivity. So this question would be, what are you being too strict about? The meaning of this reversed is almost like the bad side of the Emperor card. What are you being too intractable about? What are you waiting for or being too lazy about? Reverie, I'm sorry, I gotta look that one up again. Fantasy, illusion, nostalgia. What are you daydreaming about? Where can you find stability, loyalty, generosity? and action for the day. So again, you just saw me shuffle these. So. Yeah, okay. Sometimes I have to double check. If two of them seem kind of warm, I want to see which one I think is the stronger one of the two. Okay, so what are you being too rigid about? The Page of Wands. This card has been coming up, I think, for 3 days now in these general readings. So this Page of Wands is turning into a trend. What are you waiting for or possibly being too passive about? The Three of Coins. What are you being what's causing you to be kind of fanciful or to not take action? The Emperor, there's synchronicity there. What or who can you depend on to be loyal and to bolster you? The Three of Cups. Two threes in here so far. And then action to take. The Four of Coins. Oh, that's a very odd action card, but we'll get to that. Okay, so the Page of Wands is usually kind of a young person, great creativity, great enthusiasm, intelligence, willingness to study. And so the thing that is too strict in your day-to-day may be that you're trying to go too much by the book. This particular Page of Wands has a cane and a hat, and he's waiting at the doorway like a gentleman. He is he's quite the dandy, and I think this is a donkey. I think he's making a little bit of an ass of himself, perhaps by just waiting at the door. And we have other waiting cards, so this may become a theme. So you're being too strict about following rules and waiting to be told what to do, waiting for the rules. So this, what are you waiting for? What possibly is making you be lazy? The Three of Coins. You have other people that you're working with. Each one has their own strength here. One of my favorite Three of Coins has horses in it, so it's funny to see a different slant on horses here. We have this almost looks like a husband and wife horse, and the cobbler is working on the wife's foot there to fix her shoe. This, for those who don't know, this would be a fairly common scene especially in smaller cities, small towns and larger cities at this point, where there were shoe cobblers on the street. Later on, it became more that there'd be a shoe shine person on the street. But at this point in time, a cobbler would not necessarily have a store. He would just have a place that he worked. And this place, it kind of looks like it's outside of his stable there on the street. And people would either sit or stand nearby and get the work done that needs to be done on the shoe. And because shoes were not just thrown away, they were, here she's holding the shoes, but he's looking at her foot. So maybe he's trying to see what problem was caused on her foot. So maybe that's it. You're just having an inability to step forward. because you're waiting for something tangible to be fixed or done. Um, and here's someone who cares about you is waiting patiently there as well. Um, now we get into some colonial aspects of this image. This looks like a very rich person, and with her kerchief and the fact that she's carrying a bag, this could mean that this is somebody that works for him or is a maid in his household. Much like death, the cobbler would deal with people of all social classes. But so this is someone that is probably going to pay for this repair, but also waiting. He's waiting for her to get this done. Waiting. We've got all this waiting here and waiting here. He's waiting for her to get this done, to have her foot looked at and the shoe looked at, so that then she can get on with her job here, carrying this sack, whatever that is. So we have a series of things causing waiting here, both rules, but also a need that needs to be taken care of. Now, the reverie reversed is fantasy, illusion, or nostalgia. And the emperor is about control. He's also about rules. But he's here, and in this particular case, this is not very nice control. This is like almost abuse of power here, where he's using his cane to make this creature bow down to him. Sound familiar? Something we're seeing on a regular basis in our current leadership. And the queen also seems to be enjoying the cruelty here. So this is a particularly negative vision of the emperor, which can be very harsh and patriarchal anyway. But this is like nostalgia. And isn't it true? We are seeing it where a lot of people have nostalgia for times that were very unequal, times that were very unfair to the majority of the populace. But the nostalgia is, oh, these people didn't have any problems. And it's because they were being cruel and nasty and unfair to everyone else. Look, even their jester is making fun of this. And this person is a messenger. This person is trying to bring a message, but is being forced to go through these actions, forced to go through the required actions before even able being to give his message. Interesting. This is also a messenger waiting for something that has to do with rules. So now we have 3 cards that have to do with waiting today. And it's a series of different reasons for having to wait. But here, your question is, what is giving you nostalgia? What are you daydreaming about? Perhaps you're daydreaming about the easing up of these rules. Let's hope. Not, and I will point out, you know how a lot of people, when they say, oh, I had a past life and I was a queen of this, or I was a duchess and I was Cleopatra. It's like very few people, when they talk about their regressions in their past lives, say, I was a maid, or say, I was a scullery maid, or have this terrible story of their injustice as an impoverished person in an olden time. You know, it's usually, I was fantastic. So, and that's kind of a fantasy of the past, a fantasy illusion of what this life was like. So your loyal friend, the 3 of Cups, which of course is about friends. Here the friends they're actually working together. If this person is part of it, I'm not quite sure. No, that person's part of it. So we have the 2 musicians and the person who is gathering the money. These 3 people are working together. This person's just kind of walking by, and this member of the team has gone up to the richest looking person nearby to ask for money for the music. So Oh, actually, this person may be giving money to the musician. But so we've got a triangle here of these three people working together, just showing there are people you can depend on for generosity, and there are people you can depend on to do part of your work. And that's so maybe some of what you're waiting for is maybe you're this person waiting for the person you can depend on to finish the part that they're doing. This is almost always about working together, which maybe is a good reminder for you too, as you are kind of daydreaming and waiting for rules and social norms, waiting for someone to come to the gate instead of just going through the gate, waiting for work to be done. And then the action to take today acceleration, arriving on time. So this is very much, this is the thing to do. This is the thing to do today. This is a delay card, but when it's reversed, it means the opposite. It means being on time, taking things quickly. So the 4 of coins is, is hold on. Your action for today is just hold on. You have all of these things that you're waiting for. You have the people you can depend on, and notice how this turkey is standing stock still. He's firmly planted on both feet. His immense weight is back on his feet. His wings are down. Even though the money has fallen on the floor, he's just waiting. And this is your advice for today. This is the action for you to take. Sometimes action is inaction. And I'll tell a little story. They say this was true of Queen Elizabeth I and also of Lincoln. They were both called the great procrastinators because while people were all rushing around them, wanting things to be done quickly, Queen Elizabeth said, if you don't act, most of the time things will resolve themselves without you having to make a decision. And Lincoln also was known for taking a long time. Now, granted, he would get a lot of advice. I'm sure that Queen Elizabeth was given a lot of advice, whether she wanted it or not, too. Lincoln took a lot of advice. He would listen to people, but then he would wait. And he wouldn't act until he was sure that all of the pieces of what he wanted to do were going to work at that time. So some of the faults that have been found for Lincoln for not doing enough were actually because he understood the culture well enough to understand that he could only do certain things at that time, because the rest of them would be resisted so much they would create more problems. And certainly after the Civil War, more problems is not what was needed. And we're still feeling the repercussions of that today. I often say today, if here in the United States, if we had outlawed the flying of the Confederate flag in the United States, the way the Germans outlawed the flying of the Nazi flag, how different would our political situations be today? Granted, people could just amass behind a different flag that had a similar meaning, but and clearly, Lincoln couldn't outlaw the flying of the Confederate flag because even after the Civil War was done, even after it was over, there was no way to police the Deep South where they were still flying the flag. But we can see today that had that flag been outlawed and had there been a way to enforce it, attitudes and opinions would probably be quite different today. All that to say, sometimes you have to wait. sometimes your best action is waiting. So yeah, we start out with waiting, we have more waiting, we have subjugation, and working together, but working together for begging for help. So fortunately, you don't have to beg for help, because this is coming from this place of loyalty. And so you have people that are willing to help you and you can trust them, but you still gotta wait for them. And I'm going to add now an oracle card to use as an oracle card. I'll just take the next one in a stack to close this off. Patron. Help, support of a powerful person, a sincere friend. And what? And here we are again. You're still waiting. So you have these friends to depend on, and you even have a powerful friend to depend on. And that powerful friend is the King of Clubs, or the King of Wands. So a creative, dynamic person who is very caring and will rush in to help, but you still gotta wait for them. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, despite the fact that you just have to have a little patience. This is Kara from Kara Tarot with your reading for Sunday, May 18th, 2025. Thank you.